spawning as the blue Zerg player. It is going to be playing for Shopify's Rebellion, Lambo King.
And in the bottom left-hand side of the map, playing for Shopify Rebellion also, the Queen of Blades, Scarlett. Okay.
Complete mirror builds. I was kind of hoping for a 12 full. I am not going to lie, cats. I was kind of hoping for some cheeky cheeses, but it's not going to be the case as we're seeing a mirrored opening with 16 hatches for both players. The mineral income completely equal as well. Ugh. I would have liked some asymmetrical play here in the early game, but instead we're going to be seeing this very standard 16 hatch, 18 gas, 18 pool out of both. And Lambo is a player that I think is very strong responsively to certain things. Like he can react very well to certain things. He's good at reading games. He tends to fall apart a little bit in chaotic situations sometimes. So I think on Scarlett will be the task to make the game chaotic and make sure that Lambo can't make any sense of what you're saying. Just mix it all together, see what comes out of it, make sure to confuse the German real well, because I think in a more standard game, I would definitely favor Lambo, but in a game where chaos thrives, the Canadian Zerg might be slightly better.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. I think that Scarlett is the type of player that will play kind of Korean-esque, which is something that Lambo has been vocal against really in CVC, in the CVC matchup many a time, right? Like, because Koreans will sometimes just make a flood of links at a seemingly random time, right? Like their injects pop up and they say, okay, it's time to make links. And CVC is so volatile in that sense because the links are the unit in the game that is fastest to make and fastest to cross the map. So if you make a lot of links in CVC and your opponent doesn't react accordingly, then you can just pick off a third or just outright win the game. And that's why you can kind of be a little bit more random, right? In CVP, you can't really just make a flood of links and hope that your opponent doesn't have a wall off or something like that.
Yeah. It can be a very tricky matchup, CVC cats. It can be, but these days it seems a little bit less than back in the olden days, where these random link floods would work more often than not. A Baneling Nest on the way for Lambo in front, and Scarlett is also getting a Baneling Nest, just slightly delayed. We're going to be seeing a relative mirror up until this point at least. Lambo is up 2 workers. I guess that's because he built slightly less links, or maybe macroed a bit better. I'm not quite sure where they're coming from, but it should even out at some point. Creep Tumor is being used on the side of Scarlett. I'm very curious to see what the follow-up will be. So we could have a Roach Worm, we could have an Evo Chamber, we could also be going into a fast layer for either players. We see Scarlett still mining with a lot of workers on the gas. Lambo's doing the same thing. We might try to see some aggression out of one of these. Once the next injects pop, we'll see if there will be any difference for both players.
Yeah, Lambo recognizing that he lost one of his links and the other one's being chased, makes an additional 2 links back at his house to try and have some banelings ready in case Scarlett does go for some of those more chaotic, randomy type timings. But Scarlett is doing the exact same thing on her end of things. Lambo now caught up in workers and now pulling a little bit ahead as Scarlett is also making 5 workers of her own. So yeah, I think we have a mirror as mirrored as mirrors can go. Now the first upgrade coming for Scarlett, and it's going to be a commitment onto the +1 range as well as her own Roach Warrior.
Scarlett actually pulling a pretty nice move where both of the gases are going to be taken in her natural. I think Lambo saw this as well. I saw 1 gas go down. The Roach Warren felt pretty late, so Lambo could perhaps construe this as some type of Muralisk play. I recently saw a game between Lambo and Elaser where Elaser even went as far as pretending to have a Spire in the natural. He faked the Spire in the natural to then cancel it later on, taking all the gases in the natural and the third, but not actually using it, and instead going for a Roach Nidus. So I'm very curious to see what Scarlett is going to do. Scarlett actually is going to go up to 6 gas, so I think this might be more of a fake Roach than a fake Spire.
Yeah, very likely indeed. That is a lot of gases to be taken, and she droned up pretty heavily as well on the back of this. So maybe recognizing that the gases of Lambo at the natural were a little bit late, maybe for any sort of all-in or something like that, she is gonna feel comfortable just doing this. 8 roaches now on the side of Lambo, only 2 on the side of Scarlett. And if Lambo doesn't find a way to capitalize off of this, yeah, I think we're gonna see a Spire right away, but there's the Nidus, and that's gonna be how Lambo plans to capitalize.
Yeah, Lambo kind of reading into this. There's no Spire though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Scarlett is doing, but it's not a Spire. She just went up to 71 workers and took 6 gases. Now building 5 Overlords at the same time. She's gonna just be building roaches defensively. And now it's going to be important. Does she have anything in the main base spotting for that potential Nidus? The answer is going to be no. Lambo could get in there. It's moving out with a bunch of roaches. Speed is nowhere near being done on the side of Lambo. 36 more seconds right there. Nidus goes up in the main base though, and that could be very dangerous here for Scarlett. She has no idea about it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hitting pretty soon here. A lot of roaches were produced for Scarlett, and her upgrades are already finished. There's the Nidus now coming out with a few queens as well to aid it. There's only a few roaches in the main of Scarlett, but she has to be mindful of the front as she loses one Ravager already. Nice focus fire for Lambo, who is dropping an extra Nidus at the front, but Scarlett doesn't seem to be able to defend either side too well at the moment. Lambo doing a nice job to pull back the roaches that were being threatened by the army of Lambo, and Lambo has to find a way back into his own main whilst, or Scarlett has to find a way into her own main whilst defending the front. It's rough.
Yeah, it's very rough, and now there's more roaches popping out into that main base of Scarlett. There's no mining going on there. Lambo actually finding an opportunity to move down. Same time, another knight is being used at the front base. Spinecrawler not finished yet at the third base. Scarlett actually doing a pretty decent job here at defending. She has a Spire on the way as well, but she doesn't quite have the money to start producing Mutas en masse. She is holding for now, but if she loses the main base, that could still be very painful.
Yeah, she's lost so many roaches that are just kind of walking around, and Lambo picks them off, and now Lambo recognizing that he has enough army to sit at top of this ramp, and I think this is gonna be game right here. Not choosing to go over the hatchery, which would have been the safer maneuver perhaps, but just knowing that he can definitely take this fight, and there's nothing I think that Scarlett can do from this point on. She's gonna try to consolidate her army and try to push up her own base, but at any given point Lambo can just turn around, snipe that hatchery, and get out.
Yeah, I think that might just be what Lambo's going to do. No, he wants to fight this army. Needs to be careful, though, that he doesn't get pushed away too far. 66 armies apply on the side of Lambo against 44 on the side of Scarlett. Seems like Lambo just has enough roaches, though. His Spire is also almost done. He is up 10 workers at this point. He's going to right-click this hatchery and peace out of here. Scarlett does try the body block, but roach is not quite as good as force fields. But still gets 3-4 roaches.
Yeah, that's what she can. But, I mean, this is amazing for Lambo now. Scarlett does not have a main base, and the roles are going to be reversed here as it is now Lambo with a Spire finished. Scarlett's going to try to stabilize by making her own Muta, but I think once Lambo gets his own greater number of Mutalisks, it's just going to be lights out.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm afraid that Scarlett will also show her Mutalisk faster than Lambo, so Lambo will even have the defensive advantage. Worker advantage still in favor of Lambo as well, and he still has a slightly bigger roach count, so really nothing going right here for Scarlett. More gas mining for Lambo. We're still sprinkling in the a roach every now and again. We'll now see Scarlett's Mutas and say, okay, you're getting Mutas. Guess what? I'll just get slightly more. And that's exactly what he's going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Scarlett decides to tap out once she sees these initial Mutas. I think this is a fight she can't win. GG gets called, and Lambo wins game number 1. And he is on the edge right now of advancing to the bracket stage of the seasonal finals. His best performance ever.
His best performance ever before this was just now too, right? Like the season finals for Europe. That was, I mean, that was even more impressive than just advancing from this group stages if he manages it, for me at least.
Really?
Very stacked. You don't think so? I mean, he did take out Trap here.
Trap. I think the point also is that in order to get here, you need to be very good. These groups are stacked. I'm honestly feeling this is something I would remember more. The third place was a big run, but this is huge. This actually is huge. Being among the 8 best players in the world, that is something that I don't think a lot of people considered Lambo as. And
Yeah.
he could make it happen today. Scarlett, of course, not out yet, as she can make a comeback just fine. She's an experienced player. This won't phase her too much. We saw against Trap, after she was down 1-0, she still went for that trick with the hatchery on the natural. So I'm gonna bet you she has plenty of confidence.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if she takes at least one game. I'd be surprised if this is going to be a clean 2-0 sweep. We're moving to Europe for the next game, so it's even going to be on Lambo's server here. Yeah, it is scary. It is very scary.
It is scary, and I do think that what you're saying plays into this a little bit. Scarlett is a very experienced player, playing from behind especially. Lambo has crumbled in the past, right? Like when the pressure really hits, when he's about to achieve those results, when he's about to break into that next phase that he has struggled to break into. But again, carrying momentum from that top 3 finish, I think that he's gotta be feeling pretty good. He's gotta be feeling like he's the better player here. And now in Europe, I'm looking at a 2-0, Kevin.
Really? Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a possibility. The map is going to be Light Shade, which Lambo has shown us he's perfectly capable of playing very well at. Be surprised to see the Queens go for a little walk in this matchup, though. But everything is possible. It is a best of 3 here. DreamHack Masters Summer Seasonal Finals. 1-0 for Lambo as we head into map number 2.
Yes, indeed. And it's going to be Light Shade Ladder Edition. Roaches are pretty good on this map. Very short rush distances. And Roaches, of course, a staple of the matchup. Just got to be careful to walk around in that choke in the middle. So I'm curious to see which player, if either, will be breaking down those rocks a little bit sooner. If there is a roaching player and a non-roaching player, then the roaching player should be breaking those just to make it easier to cross the map. But we'll see what happens here. I don't see anything other than roaches on this map, to be honest.
Roaches, roaches, roaches. But before we get there, let us first introduce in the bottom right spawning as the Red Zerg player, playing for Team Shopify Rebellion. It's going to be Scarlett.
And in the top left-hand side, it is the German Zerg player for Shopify Rebellion also, Lambo King. You can find him on twitch.tv/Lambo King.
He's no regular Lambo.
No regular Lambo, that's for sure.
No early pools once again. No one wants to risk it here. The potentially final game of this best of 3. Potentially the final game of the day here in Group A.
Yeah, this map, second to Beckett Industries as far as rush distances. So, while I didn't really feel like a 12 pool was viable on the other map, on this one, certainly would have been. 12 pool can be a pretty strong opening, in my opinion, in CVC. Though every Zerg is good at defending it, it kind of breaks kind of even usually at the worst. So, of course, some Zergs will open with a pool first, and then you're in trouble, right? So.
Yep. Most definitely. Yeah, this is actually a crazy result for Lambo already. He isn't there yet, but if he makes it, he's been working real long, real hard to get these big results. And in 2018, we finally had what felt like his big breakthrough, qualifying for BlizzCon, showing good performances. But then last year wasn't quite it for him. This year he said, I'm going to do it different. I want to be winning those events. I want to be competing with the best of the best. I think I can do it. And so far, it's kind of proving to be correct. He had a fantastic performance in the first big event of the year. And now in the second, well, it's not really the second big event, but the second global seasonal finals event. The first season finals event. He's actually having a great performance already. Taking out Trap, 1-0 up against Scarlett, and even his games against Dream weren't too shabby. Shouldn't, of course, discount the Canadian Zerg either. Scarlett is a tricky one to dispose of.
Yeah, and I mean, if she got this result, that would be even more amazing for her, right? Like, because Lambo at least is primed from that European finals. You don't think so? You think Scarlett is more likely than Lambo to?
No, but I think for Lambo, it's a bigger result. Scarlett has had these results in the past, right? This would be a first for Lambo. Scarlett has been a very inconsistent player, but she's been pretty consistent at getting a final here and there, winning a tournament here and there, and then dropping off in a big way again. It feels like Lambo has not made that type of splash yet, and this could be it. We see a Baneling Nest coming down for Lambo once again. Doesn't want to skip it. 6 links on the way here for Scarlett. Okay, we're seeing the start of a change up. No Baneling Nest. Yeah, no Baneling Nest. This is gonna be a link flood into what? A Roach
Worm, most likely. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a Roach Worm for defense against those Banelings. We should be seeing it pretty soon, most likely. And yeah, the idea here is mostly that if she has enough links, right? If you make enough links to have more than your opponent, then your opponent's not going to be able to morph those Banelings defensively, because whenever you do manage to morph of those Banelings, then there are going to be links that are taking out of the fight. So Lambo's going to have to tuck his Banelings way back in or get him picked off on the way. They're not the choice that I was hoping for. There is the Ling a little bit more tucked in. And this is looking pretty good for Scarlett, who knows that the Baneling just started morphing. Will pounce onto both of the queens, but there is a Baneling that was more further back. And with this, Scarlett will most likely be pushed off.
Yeah, more links on the way though for Scarlett. I'm surprised we aren't seeing any more drones. Instead deciding, okay, I actually think I can build more links here. Might even build a couple of roaches behind this and keep going, no? We also have a Roach Warren out here for Lambo already. Scarlett right now, 4 roaches on the way, up 2 workers. I think both players are semi-all-inning into each other right here. Well, not even semi-all-inning. This is both pretty big all-ins. And then the question sometimes is, who is going to be the defensive player? Who will be the player that is on the defensive end? Another queen goes down. Good trade here for Scarlett.
Yeah, that's gigantic. Those are very difficult to replace right now. There's not a lot of income, and the larva is obviously going to be extremely important, especially for those Ling reinforcements. Now, Scarlett also identifying that Lambo has made roaches, and Lambo doesn't know that Scarlett has necessarily made roaches. So Lambo's going to choose to move out because he feels like he already committed so much into this attack, morphing additional Banelings as well. Got to be careful with this Baneling, but Scarlett is paying attention, and she will go into the third and most likely pick it off. This should set her up a win condition, but no, goes after a roach instead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if she goes even into the natural here, rather than going towards that third. She's going to be able to pick up another roach. More reinforcing links will be taken out. A lot of roaches defensively here. For Scarlett will be able to take out these Banelings. That is a huge deal. 2 workers going down on the other side of the map as well. GG gets called as Lambo taps out. And the score is 1-1. The European game gets lost by the European. The American game gets lost by the Canadian. And we will be heading back to the American server to play our final game, cats.
And that's gotta be scary if you're Lambo. And yeah, to everything that we've been talking about and the results that he has been posting as of late, this would be crushing. I think that oddly enough too, Kevin, in an interview, Lambo said that he has actually lowered his expectations to where before he was trying to be the best of the best, and now he's trying to be the best of the rest type thing. Not contest and not try to beat like Cyril, Raynor, and Clem consistently, perhaps as far as the European region, but everyone else basically the spot that Big Gabe has held for so long. So that's interesting to see him translate that mindset into better results, but it could all end here, and it's gonna be on the NA server, like you said.
Yeah, final game is going to be on that NA server. 1-1 between Scarlett and Lambo. Game number 3 in this best of 3. The final game of the day for sure. Unless it ends in a draw, but actually can't remember a single draw ever in a ZVZ. Extremely unlikely.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, with Swarm hosts, you could get close to a draw, or sometimes when some people would just make Swarm hosts and just post them in their main base and just Spore, Viper, Swarm host, every Swarm host in the main base.
I do recall that. I do recall that, actually.
Unfortunately.
I take back everything I said. In Legacy of the Void, however, I haven't seen it. But in Heart of the Swarm, I recall a game or two with a close friend of mine. He used to like this strategy when he was losing. He would force draws out into the main base with Vipers, with Swarm host, a couple of spores in there.
Who was it? Was that Firecake? I don't. Who was
it? It was Mini Racer. And I think Zanster
really?
also liked it.
Oh, and yeah. I never would have taken Mini for a Storm host turtler.
No, he liked that. When he was losing, he would go into that because didn't want to give away the win. That is most likely not going to happen here. Those farmers, of course, work very different nowadays. But what might happen is we'll see a similarly aggressive game. And We saw Scarlett kind of creating chaos and thriving in that chaos of that early Ling flood. I'm not sure if the build by Lambo was prepared, but it did feel like that. Quick Roach Warren hidden in the back. This was for a Ling Bane Roach all-in. And it didn't work as he walked straight into a Ling Roach defense. Here we are. Game number 3 on Jagannatha in the bottom left, spawning as the red Zerg player. Playing for Team Shopify's Rebellion. It's going to be Scarlett.
Else, yeah. My camera is still set on Scarlett. Is that
I can do the top right as well if you want.
Top right hand side. It is for Shopify Rebellion with a quick pull. Lambo.
Yeah, this was a 13 pool, I think. I thought it was going to be a 13-12, but was it a 14 pool and did I misread? It's also possible. I've never seen a 13 pool before in my life, so I thought I might have misread, but I'm pretty sure it was 13 because I thought we were going to see like a 12 gas and then go into some one base Ling Bane all in. Perhaps he's faking a 13-12. Oh my god, Scarlett is... Wait, what is Scarlett responding with? Is this a 16-16? This is just a great response here already for Scarlett. No, this is a great opener for the Canadian Zerg. And Lambo's going to be slightly frustrated seeing that fast pull, that late hatchery on the natural. A lot of gas is being mined on the side of Scarlett. First 6 links make their way across the map. We see more links on the way for Lambo.
Yeah, and that's worrisome. At least now he starts droning, so he's only going to be going up to 10 links. But still, like you mentioned and like we were mentioning before, I mean, the pull first can be a really strong counter to these early pulls. And this is looking pretty good here. What was cancelled? I heard a cancel just now.
Extractor. Was for the extractor trick. Cool. Get one more pair of links out before that Overlord ends up popping. Overlord actually is really late here for Scarlett. It's probably part of the build order, but just want to point that out that no more units can be produced right now. Queen is about to finish up though, and no drones have gone down yet. 6 links are being pulled down. Lambo's trying his best. Right now Scarlett is seeing that there's a hatchery on the other side of the map, so she should know it's not a 13-12. She immediately pulls back the drones, and this is a defense.
Yeah, that's it. Simple as that. That's the defense. Lambo tried to put in as much damage as possible onto that hatchery before it finished. As when it finishes, it will gain that extra armor and make it so that links do 20% less damage. And now Scarlett instead is going to have link speed ready. She's making extra Zerglings, and she's going to be crossing the map for her own counter offense. She does not yet have a Baneling nest, so this is still defensible for Lambo.
She's going. She's going, Cat.
How's she going?
And yeah, she ain't stopping. Look at that creep. It's not even close to being where Lambo needs the wall. He'll need to somehow figure out some type of secondary wall, because otherwise he won't be capable of doing it. Will we see a creep tumor go down here? It is a possibility. Links are moving out in high volume. I think Lambo spotted that, but what is his response? Spine on the low ground? Are we going to see an Evo chamber anywhere? What do you do, Kat? What is the answer?
I think what he's doing is just about the best thing that he can do. He already had 3 queens as well, which is going to fare better for him than for most. Unfortunately, Scarlett is going to find that spine right away. The drone parked where it is actually pretty cool as well, denying a little bit of surface area from those queens. And drones being pulled off the line from Lambo. Beautiful defense so far from the German.
Yeah, 8 more links are on the way for him. In the meantime, Scarlett is droning behind this. Will get a massive worker lead because of this attack. Spinecrawler in the main should not finish for Lambo. Are we going to see a cancel? No cancel. I understand why. But this time it was the incorrect cause. There was no link reinforcements. 2 queens are hunting for an Overlord, and this Overlord will not be able to run away quick enough. I can tell you that much, Cats.
Yeah, most
painful situation here for Lambo.
It's looking very stressful for him. It's a difficult situation indeed. I mean, at least if he loses, it'll be to a teammate, but I think it'll still hurt him just as much. He's going to be going for a wall up here and trying to take advantage of that. At the same time, he's actually still going for link speed and hiding a lot of his links. So I wouldn't be surprised for Lambo to continue. And he is actually making 4 more Zerglings. So I think that he is going to be flooding with links once this link speed and Baneling next are completed, while faking a Roach Warren at the front. He's showing the slow links to the links of Scarlett, so that Scarlett thinks that nothing fancy is going on. And this is going to be the best shot that Lambo's going to have at stabilizing here. As soon as link speed is done, he's going to move across and hopefully, for his sake, try to kill the third hatchery.
I think he needs to do more than just killing the third hatchery. And Scarlett is playing so greedy behind this. It's going straight into foregas, straight into lair. She is getting a roach warren. She doesn't have a baling nest, however, so a lot of links could be an issue for her. Are we even going to be seeing a single roach come out of Lambo? I think the answer is going to be no. Doesn't want to show the link speed, tries to push away these links, and will try to sneaks by. He sneaks by. No, he doesn't sneak by. Oh my god, what's going to be the response? Full wall here for Scarlett. No, it's going to be a partial wall off. Are we going to be seeing a full wall? She needs to give up her third base ASAP. These queens are moving back home. We have 6 roaches on the way right now. Oh, the links are gonna leave a gap open here. Lambo almost managing to squeeze in. 9 banelings on the way for him as well.
But I think you're right, he needs more than the third, but Scarlett might give it to him, as Scarlett is actually moving out with the queens and the roaches, and this will make it so that Lambo can actually get a full surround. The banelings are gonna run into the middle line of Scarlett, and they could be equalizers, but instead, the roaches are gonna pick him off. The links, however, are gonna manage to squeeze in. A Ravager being morphed at the door will make it near impossible for Lambo to break in with this circling baneling, but he will find all of these units up out here. He's still making an additional 20 circlings. Let's not forget, Kevin, Lambo only has 21 workers. This is do or die for the German.
Yeah, the funny thing is that Scarlett isn't aware of how far ahead she is. She has 53 workers against 21. She still wants to defend her third base, while Lambo doesn't even have any drones on his natural. But yeah, I mean, army supply in favor of Scarlett. Double the supply right now for Scarlett, and she has double upgrades coming in as well. What is there left to do here for Lambo? He's gonna try for round number 2, but this Overlord basically spots it as well on the left side. If that Overlord just moves a tiny bit to the right, sees the baneling morphing in here. Yeah,
heart crashing.
She's moving out?
I guess, and I'm surprised by that as well, because the Overlord at the front of Lambo actually spotted a lot of the circlings that he was making, which should tell Scarlett that she's in a winning position should she not move out. If she actually gets all of this army surrounded and the banelings connect perfectly onto everything, then maybe Lambo could have stood a chance. But now, as she backs away into her own side of the map, I think that is just crashing. I think that Scarlett is done it.
Yeah, GG gets called. +1 was done already.